this is where it's really important for one to face one's fears and our failures and yet keep going. And it sounds like what you're saying is that as leaders in organizations, what can be done is you can help people keep going.
Right. And you can give people hope as well. Mm-hmm. You can definitely give people hope. Mm-hmm. Because, even though we're right now where people are mechanic, I think unemployment is 7.5%, something like that. That means 92.5% of people have jobs. We don't really say that. We say, unemployment 7.5%. Right. How about saying 92.5% of Americans have jobs? Mm-hmm. Now, that's probably overstated. There's people who are underemployed or who have been unemployed for so long they don't hit the rolls. Mm-hmm. But still, the vast majority of people have jobs. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important to think about that as well. There's the old saying that a recession is when your neighbor loses your job and depression is when you do.
Right.
and that's very, very, very true.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's a little bit of a shift for most of us in that over time our society has developed this sense of, well, if people are out of work, it's because they're not trained or they're lazy or, they're down on their luck or they're sick or, there's something wrong and we can justify that. There is a rational reason for that. And today, when it's either I'm out of a job or, as you say, my neighbor's out of a job, suddenly these are people who are highly skilled. They are people who did nothing wrong. And it's not just that, they're down on their luck. This is a real problem. This is happening to people that now everybody just looks at every day and says, how can this be? So that percentage, though there is a large percentage of people employed, the percentage of people unemployed, I think it's more about the demographic of who the unemployed are. And that's why people are so scared.
Well, that's right. So that's a terrific point, Cheryl. I've been talking to people who are executives, especially in the architectural community, which I know very well and have a lot of friends with. These are people who have 20, 30 years experience, make a good salary, and they've been cut. Their company simply can't afford to hire them. And in past recessions, they could move to a different industry, they could relocate to a different part of the country,
sure.
and that's not really available to them right now because all the sectors are down and all the regions are down.
Right.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. So and I agonize for these people because I'm not really sure what they're going to do except ride it out for a while, and see where this goes. Mm-hmm. But you're right. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of potential for growth in those moments. And I know people who have lost their jobs and are saying, you know what, this is the kick in the pants I need right now to do what I've always wanted to do anyways. And so I know there's a lot of startups of new businesses, and there's people who are looking at this as really an opportunity to embark on something that they will be happier with in the long run.
And so this is really an important time for people to reach deep and reach into their creative, right?
Correct.
So, how do you help people do that? How do you help them reach into their creative self? Yeah.
Well, there's a nice little analysis that you can do, and I do a lot of career coaching, and I do enjoy helping people kind of think through these things. And there's a little analysis that you do, and you can do it on 3 sheets of paper, and you list the things that you enjoy doing, the things that are fun for you, and that could be anything from flower arranging to hiking to painting a painting. You list the things that you're good at. What are the things that you really... And then you list the things that are meaningful to you. What do you do that's really meaningful? And if there's something on those 3 sheets that shows up each time, boy, that's really where you ought to put your energy. If you can find something you're good at, that you enjoy doing, that's meaningful for you, that's your life's purpose. And I don't know that people, I interview, when times were good and I was interviewing a lot of people, I like to ask them, after they've settled down, because this is a jarring question to ask right away, but after 15, 20 minutes, I say, you know what? Forget that I'm interviewing you right now, and I'm just curious about you as a person. do anything, you know, and that doesn't include sitting on the beach as in Acapulco, but if you could do anything for a living, what would your ideal vision of that look like for you? You know, just, and no holds barred, anything. Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised, and I've asked this hundreds of times, but you know, maybe they don't want to give me a compelling answer because they think I won't hire them if they say they really want to be an undersea, you know, a scuba diver when they're looking for a job in real estate. But I don't know that people really think about this as much. And I really encourage my kids to think about this, and I think about it. I can't say that I totally live it, but it's I could give a very good answer for that. And this is a time for people to think about that.
Mm-hmm. I really like how this is split out, because you say list the things you enjoy doing, then list what you're good at, then list the things that are meaningful to you. Now, you know, when I think about listing the things that you enjoy doing and listing the things you are good at, most people would combine those two things. And I find that sometimes people have things that they're good at, but that doesn't necessarily mean they really enjoy them.
Correct.
So that's really a good discernment there. Really,
it is, because if there's something, Cheryl, that you enjoy doing but you're not good at, you can be frustrated.
Right.
Like I used to enjoy painting, and I wasn't very good at it. I was very good at understanding art. I wasn't that good at doing it, but I used to enjoy it. If there's something that you're good at but you don't enjoy, you'll be bored.
Right. Right.
And if it's something that the two of them, but it's not meaningful, you'll ultimately be depressed.
And that takes us to this whole other conversation about job satisfaction and finding meaning in work that long before the economic crisis occurred, people have been struggling with. And I'm going to talk more about that when we come back in